Welcome, one and all, to Third Party Con. My name is Pete, host of Rise of the Rulelords and one of the mods on our Pathfinder2e. I am so excited to welcome you to this first ever celebration of the Paizoverse. Uh, I am not alone, though. I am also joined by Tony Saunders, who is one of the other mods, and I'll let you talk about your accolades. And then John Morgantini, community and social media specialist at Paizo. So, yeah, both of you, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your own personal uh, role in Pathfinder and all of that goodness. Let's start with you, Tony.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll let John close it up. So I am a moderator for the subreddit. I help moderate the Pathfinder Infinite Possibilities Discord, which is kind of a little creators corner place. And then I am half of Team Plus. We do a lot of Pathfinder Infinite titles, mainly the Classes Plus and the Omens Plus line. And then I've got a few writing accolades with Legendary Games prior to that as well. So I've been around, just hanging out in the community, having a good time.
Definitely a third-party creator.
Yep, 3PP all day.
But we wouldn't be able to do this without Paizo and the games that they give us. So, John, tell us a little bit about your new role at Paizo and where you've been.
Sure. So my career is not games related at all. Paizo was actually my first games job. 20 years, retired military, did a bunch of other stuff. I started at Paizo actually almost exactly a year ago. Next month will be my 1 year anniversary of being
congratulations.
of having been hired. Yeah. I started out in customer service, just answering tickets and helping people deal with their regular issues, and then they decided. Leadership at Paizo decided that they needed someone to focus more on the role of social media and community, kind of with the internal restructuring of wanting to just gather everybody into like-minded groups, kind of gather the infinite and the third-party creators alongside the players and everybody else. And I applied for the job, and then I got it, and here we are. I mean, I've only been in the job a couple of months, so it's been a lot of fun. I only have one credit as of now, but you will see my name in Rage of Elements when it comes out in August. Nice. I got to play around with the kineticist and some of the new planes and some of that stuff. So I'm real excited for that book to come out because it was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
We're also very excited to come out for it to come out. So, John, you are going to be, for many intents and purposes, the face of Paizo for many creators. Is that right?
Yes. The intention is, as community manager, part of what that is being the recognizable face, being the point of contact. So if someone has questions, whether it's questions about like, hey, how do you think Eridan died, to I want to produce third-party content, how does one go about that?
Both me and Tony's eyebrows raised.
I was like, is there an official answer to that question?
No,
I
got to smell it.
I'm definitely not saying anything in regards to that. I know nothing. But so basically, yeah, I just want to be the easy point of contact, and I'm the one, if anyone ever emails community@paizo.com, I'm the one that sits on the other end of that email box, and I can get, if I don't know the answer, which is, sometimes third-party creators, you want to know how this rule works with something else or whatever. I might not know the nitty-gritty, but I have access to the people who do, and by going through me, that allows everyone else's workflow to maintain or stay stable, and so we all get the stuff done because we're all a little busy for whatever reason right now. And so it's helpful to maintain those traffic lanes of communication with everybody. Plus, it's just fun. Like I, as a community manager, it's a lot of fun to just be the guy that's like, "Hey, I'm gonna say spicy things on Twitter, and you're gonna like it, and that's my job, and I get paid for
it." There is a definite noticeable change in tone for the official Paizo Twitter, which I have been very much enjoying. But John, we're so grateful that you are both here with us today and going to be taking a larger role in the community. And that's what me and Tony have the most experience with. Well, maybe not the most, but that is our role here today, is talking about the Pathfinder 2e community that has grown around all Paizo products, whether it's first edition Starfinder, and especially for us, Pathfinder Second Edition with the 2e subreddit. We are part of the mod team, uh, probably some of the most active or forward facing with my podcast and uh, inflated role on Twitter, as well as Tony's takes a very proactive role in the actual moderation of the 2e subreddit. I try to make it pretty with the graphics and banner and all of that stuff. Um, but we're going to talk a little bit about the success of the subreddit and how it's grown in just the last year of 2022. I think both of us came on, Tony, in 2021. Was that right?
No, it was definitely. I want to say it was before the pandemic actually happened. I'm pretty sure, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I'm. I really get it. You know, the last like 3 years, it's kind of. I don't even. I'm not exactly sure where a lot of things
Right.
happened. I had a daughter sometime in there too. Like yeah, so it's. But I think it's 2 or 3 years ago, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. But we came on together. It was a very small team managing the subreddit at that time. We don't have numbers going quite that far back, but we have kept numbers since at least May of 2021 to be able to see the subreddit's growth. And Tony's been on this journey the same way that I have, and has been a huge part in making it what it is today. But we don't do it alone. We also had a couple of other mods join us at the same time. The gentleman DM was one of them that got brought on. Edawir got brought on a little bit after that. Um, and then we had more people join up recently in our tenure uh, as people who've been in a while. Forgot to mention a couple other. Ustin has been
Yep.
with us for quite a while. Poral is one of the original OG gang of.
Yeah, the one of the ones we started with, right? And
Yep.
then there's Ink. You know, Ink's always been the
Discord
the
guy
one that yeah
mostly.
that he does. I mean, he does moderate some, but he does for the most part. He does most of our Discord.
Yes. On
Work.
the subreddit, you might know him as Luck Panda,
Luck Panda,
who
yeah.
is definitely a real human boy. Um,
uh,
so yeah, we have had a lot of great people on our team, but because of the growth of the subreddit, the growth of Pathfinder Second Edition, we have grown. And twice in the last year, we have had open calls for moderators. We used a blind grading system to help prioritize equity. We based people just on the content of the answers that they gave us, and I think came out with uh, probably the best team that we could have hoped for. We
absolutely.
added Rico the Bold, Unikatsi. I'm a paper ninja who is public facing enough that you probably know her as Helen Savor, as well as Princess Pfeiffer and two others who I'm not sure. Oh,
Trade Baron and Anna Rose joined us fairly recently. They're kind of pitching in from the Discord team. They're primarily facing
right,
there, but
the
um,
monitors.
Yeah, Princess Pilfer. She just came on fairly recently with Helen and Rico and Unicats. So they're a great bunch. I mean, they're like
Mm-hmm.
passionate, and it's not to say that I think our community needs it doesn't need a lot of moderation. But our community is always on now. There's no real
Yes.
lull hours. Like we're
Nope.
so busy because people are all over the world playing Pathfinder. You know, you can see the spikes when people are getting up in different regions of the world. It's really cool when we look at those statistics and start to see like, all right, this is when Europe got up. This is when
This is when Australia gets up.
yeah,
A
Australia
very
got
big
up right
community.
here. Yeah, very
Half
big.
of our mods are in Australia. We will never meet them in person, probably.
Never
But
say never. I'd
yeah,
love to head out to the Gold Coast at least once. My sister lives there right now, but
that would be
yeah,
great.
no, it's since we have people everywhere and everybody's trying to bring new events to it. Like gentleman did Buildmaster the first year and is
Mm-hmm.
now doing Brewmaster this year, which I think is going to be really fun. I know gentleman's working really hard with the people that submitted submissions for that over the last year to kind of make that Brewmaster compendium of 2022.
Yep.
So and Buildmaster was a lot of fun too. So I think everybody kind of picks things. Houston is also trying to build up like the wiki situation right now with
Yep.
the Magister competition. So everybody has their role that they bring, and I think that's really great.
Exactly. We are a very teamworky team.
Very.
We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses. People are always there to pick up where someone else might not be able to leave off. So I am very thankful for our team and the community that it has helped foster. In fact, there are some numbers that I want to go over about how much our sub has increased. Um, at the start of 2022, we began with 37,000 subs. In Reddit terms, that is tiny, a very very small subreddit. With a YouTuber, that would probably be pretty incredible for a while. But at the end of 2022, we hit 55,000 subscribers, and that was a big moment for us personally. I know we were all watching the clock as it got to the 50K mark, and then it was
That was
not
September.
soon after that. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
in
so
September.
we had September, and so you can see the growth between September and the end of the year was about 5K, right? Which at the
Yeah.
time we were like, that's great growth. Like we're having, like that's 10. I mean, that's 10%
Yeah.
growth in like 4 months ish.
Yeah.
So like I
Pretty
think we
good.
were comfortable seeing an increase in the game, and we were going into winter events, and TPK was being
Yep.
set up, and so we were feeling good, and then
And then we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we have also seen a growth in the number of uniques and in internet tech speak. That is the amount of brand new people laying their virgin eyes on the first time on our subreddit. It began at actually I forget where it began, but on average we get about 155,000 a month, and throughout 2022 that equals to 1.8 million people looking at the subreddit, looking at Pathfinder Second Edition, and whether they're commenters or just lurkers, people are coming to this game on a very natural scalable level, which was also really really cool to see. And then the final big statistic is that the average amount of page views that we get is 3.7 a month. So these are people who are coming back looking
3.7 million.
3.7 million. Sorry,
million.
Million people a month.
3.7 not as impressive.
No,
Some 0.7 of a person showing up. I mean,
yeah. Good catch. So these are people coming back for questions, to see like our memes, to do discussions. People post videos, content creators post their podcasts, their art. So we have really become a big community space. And over 2022, that's resulted in 45 million people visiting the page, or 45 million page views. So that's not to say 45 million people, but people keep coming back for it. And I think a lot of that, John especially, has to do with the quality of Pathfinder Second Edition and people
Absolutely.
getting into it and really loving the game. So we don't we don't do anything to bring people. Well, we do now
We
do
do
things to
some
bring
stuff,
people in.
but I think watching Paizo just grow over like the
Yeah,
last two, I mean, like you had to launch Second Edition, which is, that's already an accomplishment. And I think not only did it land, I think it landed very gracefully. Like
yeah,
I've never been more excited to play a game than Pathfinder Second Edition. I love that I can introduce people that have never played tabletop role playing games before, and they can sit down and play a game with me. That's it's such a change from like, even, whether you go back to third or old D&D, but first edition definitely,
yep,
that change alone. So being able to say that, see Paizo go from, we landed this brand new edition, to just where you are now, especially with, the expansions to the Lost Omens team, like the narrative team, and expansions internally to the organization, your role coming in, like the shakeups for, how you present even errata to the community. It's great to have a community that has such a great, you know, I guess, thing to base itself around, right? And Paizo is
yeah,
just killing it.
yeah. You guys are
It's been a
doing
lot of
great.
fun.
And I especially have loved how Paizo employees have been making a a big appearance in it. Not just like, a generic Paizo account coming and using this as free marketing space, but people come and they regularly participate in the forums, the AMAs. I know uh, well, Mark Seifter used to do it a lot. Now he's with Battle Zoo.
He still
I
does,
know.
but he used to
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean?
Yes, he used to do. Jason Bullman comes in there sometimes. Eric
He
Mona
does.
will leave the occasional comment.
Luis,
So
Mike Sayer. I've
yep,
seen. I've had to verify a couple of new ones lately too. So it's cool to see. It's nice to see the Paizo feels good about coming to the community.
yeah,
To be able to interact with people there, and to not feel, because they don't, they're not obligated at all. Like in the format of the forums, I feel like sometimes, when you're on Paizo.com like all day, as part of maybe your job, you might read a thread or two and feel like you need to get involved, right? But on Reddit, I mean, like you're kind of have to make the decision to go there and interact sometimes. And I think that them feeling like they can is,
yeah,
that's a victory right there to me.
yeah. It's
We're a big fan of the fans of our game, and none of us, I think, are very shy about saying that. So, we people will bring comments in. We call it Goblins Chat. It's the in-work chat, and it's so many memes and so many puns and so many bad jokes and just so many all kinds of things. And it's the general vibe we get from everybody else. We enjoy what we do, and it's really good for us to see that others also enjoy what we do. So it creates that feedback loop of, I'm excited to go to work today because I'm gonna invent something super crazy, and there's somebody out there who's really gonna love this, and that's awesome.
yep.
Very true.
So it has been so great to see Paizo take a personal stake in interacting with the community, and I I love that. Um, One of our first big interactions with Paizo on a semi official level of coordination was also probably one of our biggest victories, definitely one of my personal victories,
Yep,
which
Pete
was
championed that pretty hard. You did a good job.
Thank you. But it was Beginner's Box Day, which we had in 2022. Um, this was an event that came up from just our mod chat, and the crazy idea was brought up, like, what if we just did something where a bunch of people played the beginner's box? Like, that would be cool. And like, yeah, that could have been really cool. It could have just been 5 GMs for, like, the couple 15 new people who came to the subreddit and wanted to try it. But it exploded. It got a lot bigger than that. We had 66 game masters run games over the course of a full weekend for 360 players. And it was such an exciting event that I think Paizo did a little marketing uh, thought stuff and decided to release your first deluxe VTT Foundry module for the beginner's box around that exact same time. And at that same time, we had gotten a very generous donation as soon as that announcement was made, where we were able to supply every single game master with a copy of that VTT Foundry module for them to run for all these new players. So that to me
I
was,
remember that. It was so great because I remember that
yeah.
because people were like, "Did you guys know that this was happening when the VTT?" And we were like, "No, we actually didn't know." But people were like,
Mhm.
"I don't believe you. There's no way that happened on accident." And it was pretty funny. I remember
Yeah,
because it was like wasn't it like 2-3 weeks before Beginner's Box Day was about to
a
the
little
weekend it
bit.
was happening?
I mean, we had definitely been communicating with Paizo, saying like, "Hey, this thing is going on. We're gonna run it," and it just felt like at the start of it that it was just gonna be some dorky little thing that we were just gonna get minimal support, just like any other convention of,
Yeah, just a
like,
small event, something
yeah,
fun.
sign up some people, we'll get some vouchers, some free PDFs for people. Like, it's just gonna be this little thing, and then for it to go from what it was to what we thought it was going to be to where it was a huge leap that I didn't foresee, but I'm so glad that we got there, and um, very excited that that is going to be a reoccurring event for us, at least.
Yep,
And
there
so
were a
I
lot of people very excited. They were like, annual? Did I hear annual? Because there were people that didn't get to participate because even with you know how it is with games, it's tough to
yeah,
organize even with like 2 months lead time. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for a specific weekend. But I think people are going to be kind of anticipating it this year, so I'm very excited
yeah.
to see, especially with the changes as of least recent.
Hmm.
Should be a lot of fun.
Uh, John, were you around for Beginner's Box Day? Is there anything you were able to comment about as far as like what was going on with Paizo during that time, or the scuttlebutt about it?
I do remember. I do remember it, and I do remember. I was customer service at the time,
Hmm.
so I wasn't directly involved. But I mean, we're all there's chats, right? We're all kind of connected. We're all talking to each other, and I remember everybody being very excited because it was an opportunity to present people. And just like any group of people, you kind of the general consensus was this will probably be okay, but like let's not get our hopes up because you don't want to assume you don't want to have pie in the sky expectations and then have them come crashing down.
Hmm.
I don't think any of us internally expected what it became because while I had my nose to the grindstone doing other stuff, it was very much people being like, "Oh wow, like people are playing the beginner's box. Like this Reddit thing is actually like becoming a thing. Like, okay, this is fun."
Yeah, I remember until recently, I think that month it was the record breaker for a while, but I think the
Yeah.
residual people that stayed after the event, I think eventually in like once Dark Archive hit and then the game happened, right? then it took back off again, or the Discord was hot for a few days. I made a
Mhm.
joke CSS change to old Reddit. There was a lot of I put white moths everywhere. People were like, what does it mean? I was like, I hope
Yeah.
I didn't
That
fool
was one of the
anybody.
coolest things that I think I have seen from Paizo as like a community thing of just like everyone looking at these pages, trying to figure out what's going on. And there's this whole chat rooms of like, okay, if you put it over this page, the circle fits. And that was cool to see.
We did get a few really confused emails in the beginning. They were just like, is this working? Is it not formatting? Do I need to delete my cache and like download it again? What is this thing? And we were just, I don't know. Just go investigate.
See what you
That
come
must have
up
been
with.
tough.
Yeah.
But we also had that triggered the idea that we could do more events. And one of the ones that was the most long going was Brewmaster. I got to be a judge on one of it. I think Tony, you got to too.
Yep, I was in round 2. I was
Yeah.
a mod judge for round 2. And then we had Matt Kavanaugh, Botanical Bestiary, so Orphane. He was on, I think, round 3. And
Mm-hmm.
then we had Sola on round, or excuse me, and then we had Ed Weir on round 5. And I think Gentleman was round 1. And we did 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So those were the
And
5 mod. Orphane is the
mod
moderator for infinite possibility, for the infinite Pathfinder 2e creations.
Some of you know him as the author of the Botanical Bestiary, one of my favorite third-party things that came out of it.
Yeah, actually, his story is really cool because he started on the subreddit, and he posted a Leshy every Friday for like a year, and it was to the point where people got really excited for these Leshy posts every week. And then after a year, he was like, let's see if people would pay for a book. And it turns out they were more than willing to pay for a book of just Leshies. So that was so cool to see like that story happen.
And at the same time, there was an artist who was posting these really adorable Sita. And they got together because of the subreddit, the collaboration of things that they were doing. And like Orphane fell in love with the art. Sita, I know, was drawing some very cool Leshy sprites and stuff. And it was just like the perfect combo that came out of it. But like that level of home brewing and third party creation is continued. With Brewmaster, I think our plan is to eventually release a bunch of the winners. We had 207 individual entries and 42 winning entries, 32 of which were from different authors. So there were a couple of repeats, but on the whole, most of the things were like a person winning for the first time their new homebrew creation of whatever we were doing that week, heritages, items. That was the one that I did, was the items judging. Had a lot of fun with that. There were some cool ideas in there.
Yeah, the Brewmaster competition was a lot of. It was really great to see. I got one of the hottest rounds, and I think it was probably because it was the most approachable. And I think there was like 74 valid submissions from different people on the feats round. You had to make a feat chain, and that was. Let me tell you, I went through and I wrote comments on everybody. Not everybody asked for their comments, but I made a point of it. I was like, I'm going to do this. And it was really cool to read some of the ideas that got put down on paper. Like really cool. Like I just loved seeing. It's amazing because you think, oh, some people might submit the same thing, right? Like, oh, there's going to be some overlap. Surprisingly, almost none of the rounds was there things that were overlapping that heavy at all. Like at best, you could say some of the themes were shared, but most of the time it was just totally brand spanking new novel ideas. And I just thought that was so cool to see how people could come at these creation problems, like what do I make, and everybody came up with something different. So
John, how heavily do people check the sub for like new ideas or things to incorporate into the future?
I can't speak personally.
Hmm.
I don't go on Reddit too much, just kind of as a general rule. I dip my toes, but I do know that we have some very. I mean, most of the staff has at least been in at one point or another. We'll share a funny story. We'll share a thing. I can't tell you guys all of it because some of it's definitely not appropriate because it's off the chain and it's
Sure.
fun.
Valid.
But I mean, like we have so much fun, and it's like I said, it's so much fun to see uh people, especially when you're posting like art or whatever. Like we absolutely share all kinds of cute art, in the different work channels.
Hmm.
There's definitely some Leshy or some Shuni stands in the staff who are like, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's this, you will see it, and I will tell you. Um, a
Hashtag
couple
Shuni
of
iconic. That's my personal vendetta to make happen with Paizos. I want a Shuni iconic.
I can't say
Hmm.
anything's on the table, but nothing's off the table either. So it's very much like
That's good.
we don't know. It's very much on a day to day.
Yeah. Um, but then we dipped our own toes into creation at the end of the year of 2022 with Long Night. And Tony, you are one of the creators, so I'm going to let you talk about that while I turn on my light so I don't look like a Sith Lord.
Yeah, sure. So, well, it would be appropriate for Long Night for you to turn on your light. That is how to celebrate the
Ah!
holiday. Try to keep it as brightly lit. So, Long Night was a very much a group effort between a team of people that I was working with beforehand. That I ended up having to bring moderator help in to say, hey, listen, like I'm converting an old adventure. I want to make it work. Outside of just me running something for my family, and I want to update it and make it appropriate for Galarian, and do something fun with it. And so Edawir was on with me from the beginning, along with my colleague Cameron Leiden. And so we were writing out kind of the beginning of this adventure that takes place in Arisen, in the Winter Crux province, during a snowstorm during Long Night. And it's called The Long Night Before Krampus. And we ran kind of a little adventure and kind of did a pay what you want giveaway type of thing where we made it clear, please, if it is your first time playing Pathfinder Second Edition, please just download it. Play this adventure. If you love it, if you really want to give back to the effort that went into it, because we made sure that it had full Foundry support. It's fully
Mhm.
arted. I want to, I'm going to give shout outs to all the people that worked on this at the end. We went ham on the layout. We made sure that this was a quality supplement that if someone wants to play the game and they don't have any means to purchase something like the beginner's box, which I think is fantastic. If you can't afford to come in with the beginner's box, it
Mhm.
has a much better layout of the rules. But if you just want to play an adventure, the Long Night is a great adventure, and I think it works out of season 2. It is very focused on the holidays because we
Yeah.
released it around in December, around the holidays. But I do think it works as a one shot anytime that you want to run it. Maybe more like a 2 session. So people have told me it's a little longer than a one shot.
It took us 2 sessions, but I can tell you
Yeah.
that my group when I ran it had a blast with it. It was adorable. The art by Derry Zumi was incredible. Really added some life to the story. Made it so that it didn't feel creepy. It made it feel like it was a true holiday special towards the end. And I do not mind sharing that at the end of the adventure, I got misty eyed reading like the end of it and coming to the big conclusion of like a big happy ending, and like the level of strangers who came together to play this game all came out feeling like they knew each other a little bit well, and it was like a real candle night or long night miracle. It was a very well made thing.
Uh,
So
That and the team loves to hear that. I'll be honest, I did write the epilogue, so it made me feel really happy to hear you just say that I was like, really, you like the misty eyed? Perfect. But yeah, I gotta give credit where it is due, because this was definitely not all me. As you mentioned, Derry, that's a very good point on the art, bringing the levity of the adventure up, because there are some, there are some themes that if you let yourself get lost in the bleakness of it, like maybe it's
Mhm.
it can be a little bit sad. But I do think the art helps carry it. But Rico, the Bold, wrote the orphanage portion of the adventure. Cameron Lyden wrote the bakery. Helen Savor wrote the last section. I won't go too deep into that. No spoilers.
Yeah.
And we wrote the smithy. Derry Luttrell did the artistry, as you mentioned before. Sean Pommier of EOG and Eldritch Games did our layout and is a champion, does fantastic work. And then Sam Marine did the Foundry module. And Sam, I swear by Sam's work, he is a fantastic dev and he did a really good job with the adventure. So,
Yeah.
and I'm really proud of what we put together. That's not to say we can't do. I think we've all talked about maybe giving it another pass just to kind of clean up a couple of things,
Mhm.
because it was a rush to get it quite out the door on time for
Yeah.
that December deadline. But I think we handled it. But if anybody wants to listen to um, kind of a truncated run of the adventure, there's a great one by Dice Will Roll with Jessica Redicop, Jeff McCallan, Jordan Wynn, Christopher Rondo, and then Derry is the GM, where they kind of play through the adventure. So if you're a GM and you're kind of, what's it like? How do I run it? What kind of tone should I be looking for? I definitely think checking out that episode can give you a little spotlight into it. And as we mentioned before, it is free. Please go to pathfinderinfinite.com, download it. If you love it, maybe come back after you've downloaded it and decide to go for that pay what you want and help pay some of the authors.
And
And
we
really,
did. We got a good portion, uh,
that's true.
and
We
it
did.
even got
We,
a little
we got
reward
a
to
medal. Proud of us. Yeah, we got a medal. So it was 371 total downloads of people that decided to get the adventure, and then we cracked the 50 mark to break into copper on people that were willing to come back and basically pay what we listed as on the store for pay what you want. So we're very grateful to get anything. To be honest, most of it will probably go back into the adventure.
Mhm.
So like it's into maybe trying to like enhance some things, maybe do another one that isn't um like wintertime holiday themed, maybe some other kind of event. But
Yeah.
that would be the goal. But it's very humbling to see so many people appreciate it.
Yeah. And speaking of appreciating a third party made thing, that brings us to third party con and the whole point of it.
Right.
Because there are a couple people who think that just in the last month was when we decided to actually run it, but we've actually been planning third party con since October at least.
I was gonna
Uh,
say I think talks started summertime, but
yeah,
actual things occurring, I think that sounds like putting actual events in motion. I think you're right. I think
yeah.
it started about October.
And this came from all of our shared love of the community and community made content in all of the forms that it comes with. I, as a podcaster, am a big fan of the various content creators who are making videos, actual plays, um, uh, community made resources. And then with Tony as part of the Infinite program, uh, there's all kinds of people who are writing great materials on Pathfinder Infinite. And we really wanted to celebrate that fact. Like the metrics of all of these numbers that we laid out bear a truth that Pathfinder Second Edition, the whole Paizo community around this game, is growing at an incredibly rapid rate, and we wanted to call attention to that, call attention to the people who are helping to make it that way. Because, John, I'm sure you'd agree that if it was just a matter of Paizo advertising dollars, it would probably not be at the place that it was without the love from fans talking about it, making videos about it, doing introductory streams and all of that stuff for people. So our goal with TPK was to show that, to really highlight the best of what the Paizoverse has brought us, and that's what I hope you'll get out of this weekend, viewer. Is a great weekend of content, of gaming, of demos, and really helping to amplify not just Paizo itself. We love you, John. We want Paizo to succeed, but also uplifting the Pathfinder community, because the game has evolved beyond just being a Paizo thing. It is something that the community embraces. Um, it's something that some of us center our identity on, parts of our identity on. So it's a real important thing to me that this community continue to grow, continue to flourish, and that's my ultimate goal with TPK. What do you have to say about it, Tony?
I mean, to me, I'm always going to look at Paizo as being the windbreaker for the third party writers. Maybe not so much for people like Battlezoo with Mark, since Mark kind of is breaking wind on his own little area. I mean, he definitely, led the charge with Paizo for a long time. But for me personally, I mean, even just with the way that the Lost Omens team progresses their books, and they leave so much room for writers, especially in the Pathfinder Infinite community, where we can actually go in and do things in Galarian, which I think is fantastic. And Luis Loza and his team, they just have made it so easy for us to go in and find these pockets in the world that are just itching for, give me more mechanics, give me more things that are happening in this place. Please jump in and get your hands dirty, writer. Like try to do something with your material in this place. And so I think I'm just really excited to hopefully not only get people to see that some of these third party people that you're looking at, they're not just, some of them are actual, Paizo freelancers. Some of them that are going out on their own and stuff. You got people like Mikhail Raccoon, who's doing, things with Luminant Age right now, and then you have like like Dustin Knight, who was one of the moderators for the Infinite Possibilities Discord and was a big Infinite creator for like a while, and now Dustin's hopped on over to Team Starfinder. So I want people to see TPK as an opportunity to not only explore what it's like to be in third party, realize that being in the third party space doesn't mean you're not in the Paizoverse, and to maybe also consider, what does it take for you to make that jump? Can I be a writer? Can I be more than just somebody that does homebrew for my games and stuff like that? And I want to, brief shout out to Mike Sayer. Like, I have to say, if it wasn't for some advice that I got from Mike years ago, I don't think that my writing would be where it is now. And I can't really say enough how much I appreciated that, and how much I hope that maybe TPK and maybe some other people during TPK can make someone else feel that way, can make them say, hey, can I be a writer? Can I be a creator? So that's my hope.
And even Paizo staff are still in their job capacity.
Yep.
Also doing third party stuff. Jason Bowman came out with Starfinder. Luis Loza comes out with this incredible Dragonkin ancestry.
That one's great. It's gold on Infinite. Highly recommend.
Yeah. So John, either from your own personal standpoint or the official Paizo standpoint, like what are you all hoping to get out of this celebration?
I can speak to both. So yes, like you mentioned, we do have staff that are also producing things in this third party economy, because we genuinely just love the game, and there are other ways to expand on the game and add your own touches, add your own flavors. I'm a patron of Jason's. I get his Eventide emails. So like it's all just part of that whole, like I said, part of that whole ecosystem. Me personally, I want, Tony, kind of the same thing you were saying. I just nibbled at the whole writing thing with Rage of Elements. And I'm not comfortable enough yet in the rules to be able to do it myself, I don't think, but I'm definitely on the way. And stuff like TPK is so good for just inspiration. You get kind of that whole like, oh, like it's not this big daunting bugaboo that like means I can never do it. Here are people who are like actually like, no, point A, point B, fiddle around and do whatever you want for point C, and then point D, and bam, 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 there you go. And it doesn't have to be just writing. If you want to do videos and stuff, we have that whole community use package. You know, feel free to toss art as you're talking about videos. And anything that shows up in one of our blogs is free art. So, you know, if you email me if you're curious, but otherwise, like, you know, you can go and pick out some art and make videos if that's what you want to do. If you want to do writing, we've got Pathfinder Infinite, we've got Starfinder Infinite. There's compatibility licenses. If you don't want to write in Galarian, you don't have to. You can make up your own setting and just lay on the Starfinder or the Pathfinder rules on top of that. So if your big passion, kind of like me, is I want to create the world, I need to make the lore of the world, I'm going to do this, there's that waiting for you. So you don't have to start with, you know, reinventing the wheel and figure out what your 7, 8, 9, 10 schools of magic are going to be. Just throw Pathfinder on there and feel free to be creative in your own way. So as long as people from the corporate side, yes, we love that people are talking about the game. Obviously, that's a given. But we also just want people to create. We want people to be inspired. We want people to play games. We want people to have fun and enjoy hanging out and doing group activities with each other and just really having fun with people who have the same interests.
Yeah. And there have been some great spaces fostered to be able to do that. Tony, I think you can speak a little bit more about the Infinite program and creator spaces.
Yeah, so I mean, the Infinite Possibilities Discord has been kind of a little hub, and the Pathfinder2e creation subreddit. So a while back, Dustin Knight asked, talked to me about like getting more involved with the Discord server, and I was talking with Orphane about helping him like improve the 2e creation subreddit. And so basically we made this, you know, oh well, what, you know, why separate the two? These seem to be like-minded communities. We're building homebrew, like, it's really the step between making yourself go from being somebody that's just in homebrew to somebody that's, you know, producing actual published content. Is, I won't say the leap isn't there, but it's smaller than people think it is, right? It takes a little bit more effort. You got to start putting together, you know, layouts and stuff and fooling with that whole nonsense. But the making that extra jump is a lot easier when you have people that know how to, you know, fix a bug in Affinity, or how do I output my templates, you know, so that I can get these styles through and things like that. So on the Infinite Possibilities Discord, that's just been great. And then on the individual Discords across the, you know, the Pathfinder Second Edition, you know, like Paizoverse, really, if you will, like the Arcane Mark Discord is fantastic. By the way, highly recommend Mark's streams. He teaches you how to build all kinds of things, NPCs, monsters. He also does dives on books. Those are fantastic. Then there's the Roll for Combat Discord. That one's great too. I'll shout out to my own Team Plus Discord. We just crossed like I think 400 something people, and they love homebrewing in there. They're all about it. They love trying to, you know, build new mechanics and like trying to seek things. And that's what I think I love about all of our communities, even the Pathfinder2e subreddit Discord, which is fantastic. There's just, you know, it just crossed 10K fairly recently users, which is, you know, pretty big milestone for us internally. And I think the discussions between them has been fantastic, you know, and being able to build out that creation is a good thing for the game, and like trying to figure out how you make things, you know, for other people to enjoy. I know the Drive Through RPG Discord is fantastic. That's where the Infinite Masters congregate, where we get the sneak previews on stuff that comes out a little bit later, which is very nice. I can't talk about anything that's coming out soon, but man, Firebrands is such a good book. It is such a good book. It's such a good book. Anyway, so
Yeah.
but I think the thing that I love most about the creators across the different teams is that it's not a competition. It's not like, oh, we're all trying to get like a piece of the pie and there's nothing left if, at the end of the day. We're all building each other up. When somebody gets a new release, when someone gets a medal, like we're all about trying to lift them up. I started doing this little thing on Infinite specifically, where when somebody takes the top spot on a popular wheel, I like make a meme about it, or it's kind of like, like the whole James Cameron, Steven Spielberg picture thing for highest gross. So we started doing that like internally, and it started dumb, but 12, 16 memes later, it started to kind of be like a thing where people enjoy, seeing, oh, somebody gets a meme today. They broke popular wheel number 1. So
Yeah.
I like the sense of community even among the creators, where if you're brand new or you're a vet, you're gonna find people from all different spaces, and it's nothing but love for each other, for trying to build up how can you be a successful creator. And the thing that's great about Paizo is they've given us basically the golden goose. Like, there's plenty of room. There's a reason the pie never runs out. It's a great game to build for.
And we can't talk about, that without also mentioning that Paizo is still coming out with stuff even after, this 3 years. And it wasn't too long ago that I made a meme that, Paizo didn't have enough stuff, and now there's so much. So John, is there anything you want to tell us about the future of Paizo? And we're gonna, we might as well just broach this topic now that there has been an explosion of interest in Pathfinder Second Edition. I don't know. I couldn't say how much that transfers over to Starfinder. Maybe you have thoughts about that, John. But on our own, we exploded in 1 month from having 55,000 subscribers to 78 today. 78,000 people, not just 78. Increased to 457,000 uniques in 1 month. Never happened before. And 10 million page views. That is the largest spike that has ever happened because of news around the OGL and eventually the Orc. So
Orc was bigger than the OGL breach.
It was.
Not surprisingly. Like, I think we had 3,000 something subscribers the day Orc was announced. That's how excited people were about Orc.
So this is a big time for Paizo, John. So what is coming up for Paizo that you can talk to us about, and the success that you've seen from all the interest people have had about Second Edition?
Sure. To go back to an earlier comment for a second, not enough. I think we had like 19 separate products that were released in November by itself.
It's one of the most annoying things that I have seen. It's like, well, First Edition just had so much. I don't know about. It's like, I have a whole bookshelf of Paizo. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we are definitely continuing that train for sure. Let's see, what can I... So, yes, obviously, the OGL, Orc, those are things that people want to know about. I personally have not seen any draft of the Orc yet. As of this recording, it has not come out, and by the time everybody else sees this, there might be something, but as of right now, we haven't seen it yet. We are hoping to get a draft out in February. That's the plan, but we also want to make sure it's done right and correct, so we're not rushing it. We're letting the lawyers take their time with it, because we definitely absolutely want to make sure that this does what it says on the tin and what we were intending it to do. For all of the creators out there, we are still, and we hold to this, 1.0a is still there. It is business as usual. You can create using 1.0a, in our view, it's not able to go away anyway. So if that's one of the reasons that you feel kind of held up on things, go for it. Don't feel like you need to hold yourself back. We've had thousands of people interested in the orc. It has garnered a lot of attention, so we are very excited to see where it goes. But like I said, as of right now, we're not sure. We haven't seen the draft. So, but other stuff that's upcoming. Let's see what's coming up. We got Treasure Vaults coming out. Super excited for that. Something like I might get the exact number wrong, but I know there's at least a few pages of just straight up treasure tables. Like I can't think of treasure to insert for cool thing for my group. Open page, roll die. That's what it is.
I was excited to see. I got my subscription copy, and I got to see the Dwarven Longhammer came back. That's the one thing that I wanted this whole time.
It's a very fun book. My personal kind of recent, like I am not. My home groups have decided on one is doing Kingmaker and one I actually start Rise of the Rulelords here in a couple of hours with another group. But Gatewalkers is going to be so much fun. Like
Yes.
I am so psyched for creepy investigative fantasy X-Files nonsense. Like it's going to be so good. What else have we announced? Firebrands, obviously, is also coming out. Lots of people excited for that one. Dropping a couple of leaks on the Twitter just because they haven't stopped me yet. They haven't pulled my keys to the Twitter yet. So we'll see if that continues. And then we have also announced Sky King's Tomb, the Dwarven adventure path.
Yep.
Which is going to be lots of people are excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't seen any of the layouts or anything for that one yet, but and then we've got a couple of releases coming up for Starfinder as well. We've got Drift Hackers just finished or is finishing, and I am not 100% sure what else has been announced yet because I didn't do that research before I sat down, so I'm not going to say anything else because I like
everybody's pretty focused on Drift Hackers right now anyway, so I think you're safe.
Which is I need to get into more Starfinder. It seems very fun. There's this thing called time and I don't have enough of it. So,
ain't that
whatever this mysterious thing is, I certainly don't have enough of it. But yeah, we are just, and obviously there's always things in the pipe, right? So we have calendars and ideas going far out into the future for what we would like to accomplish, and it is a very, very, very exciting time to be kind of sitting where I am. I'm not directly responsible for the things, so I don't feel the crushing weight of deadlines. I just get to see the cool results and be like, okay, now I get to tell people about the cool thing. Yay me.
And we are going to be there every step of the way. I know that every time Paizo makes an announcement, the subreddit hangs on a thread. That maybe isn't the right note, but we are waiting very, very eagerly to hear any announcement anytime that it comes out. So we're very excited that we have this connection with Paizo directly or indirectly, as a way for the community to interact with you and as a voice for yourself to be able to talk directly to the community that plays and loves your game.
I'm not going to say we haven't timed it from how long it takes a blog release to show up on the subreddit, but some of us have timed it. And
everybody wants the karma.
We're talking like sub 90 seconds in some cases. We're like, okay, like someone was obviously hitting refresh on the page.
We had to delete some duplicates on the last one. I remember there was like 4 people that were like, boom, boom, boom. Like within is like, I think this one was first. Delete.
Yeah.
So, speaking of time, though, we are reaching the end of ours. So briefly, I'm going to talk about the future of at least the Pathfinder2e subreddit. Anytime that something new that Paizo releases, it's going to have a big impact. But we are not just sitting idly by. We are trying to have events that engage you, the community, and one of those is obviously TPK. We're hoping that you have a great time with it, exploring new options. We are so excited that this was a community-led event. Paizo was very hands-off, even though we kept them in the loop about everything. But we got sponsorships from Pathfinder Infinite, otherwise known as Drive Through RPG. Roll for Combat is one of our sponsors, as well as Legendary Games and Eldritch Osiris Games, the first ever co-op producer of Pathfinder Second Edition. We also have a mega bundle going on that should be on the front page of this whenever this releases, of third-party content, so that you can get so much cool stuff for a very discounted price, similar to those amazing humble bundles that Paizo's been whipping out every once in a while, surprising us with. And World Anvil also has joined the sponsorship a little bit late, so they declined to have like their own keynote and stuff. But they are giving us a special discount for 40% off of any year-long subscription if you use the code TPK 2023 at checkout. So that is a very cool tool for people who are building their own third party, whether it's a new setting, new campaign ideas. If you're building a whole campaign, World Anvil can be a tool for you to be able to build that out, to outline it, and then make it into a cohesive product that I hope will one day get to play. So again, that is TPK 2023 at checkout for World Anvil. The final big announcement that I'm excited to make is that, yes, Beginner's Box Day is being an annual event. We're doing Beginner Box Days 2, which I'm calling Atari Boogaloo, and no one can make me not say that. That is going to be April 22nd through 30th. It's going to be a whole week this time rather than just a weekend, so that we can get people from all around the world who are off and on work to be able to connect new players to getting into Pathfinder Second Edition. Hopefully, there will still be beginners boxes out there able to be found. It's getting rarer until a new reprint.
That part's tough. Yeah.
But
John, can you
we
tell us the pocket editions are?
Oh yeah, so there are, as of right now, there are no hardcover CRBs left in the warehouse, and now there are no pocket edition CRBs left in the warehouse. I've been giving beginners boxes out like candy to libraries, and as prize support for other people or whatever. They're and it's like, normally I would have other books to give you, but all I have is a couple of boxes. I'm sorry, we're not. April. We should have more. We're hoping.
So that times very, very well with Beginner's Box Day. But there will always be the VTT Foundry module that you can get on Paizo.com. I have run it at this point, I think 8 separate times for people. It's incredible. It's gorgeous. Has sound effects, overlays, so it looks like your characters are going under things, lighting effects, deluxe tokens. It is a fantastic introduction into Second Edition, and we're really excited to once again be putting on this event that got so many people into the hobby, especially hopefully many of those people who are brand new to the hobby flocking in because of the orc license announcement. We want to have a space for you to be able to try Second Edition on your own terms. And then, of course, we're going to have other events, AMAs. John, we always have an open invitation for Paizo staff to come do AMAs, whether it's talking about a new project that you are about to release, or someone just wants to come shoot. I probably shouldn't curse, but just wants to interact with the community. We always have AMAs open. And for you community creators, if you ever want to have an AMA talking about your new project, something that you're about to release, a Kickstarter, we're not sticking those things on the subreddit, but we do encourage you to reach out to us, the mod team, through the mod mail to set up an AMA so that people can ask you about your project and really get to learn about it. That is going to generate more excitement than just a virtual ad on the subreddit. And we've already had very successful AMAs, and I think Tony knows that too.
Oh, absolutely. Grand Bazaar was fantastic. Luis Loza's AMA, even recently when about the director change, about the director role, it was very nice. So it's really good to get the in EOG did one as well. We do ones for with from third party to Paizo people. I think AMAs. It's really cool to get insight into the perspectives of these different people in the Paizoverse.
Yeah. But with that, we are out of time. So we're just going to do a final outro. Tony, John, where can people find more about you, your projects, and continue to interact with you after TPK?
I'll go first. John, I think yours is a little more self-explanatory. So if you want to interact with me, I mean, you can probably find me on the subreddit. You can find me on the Discord, and then you can find me working on Team Plus projects on the Team Plus Discord, where I'm available often. For some reason, I can't get away from notifications. They just keep coming up on my phone, and I have this dire need to open every single one of them. So if you want to reach out to me, the Team Plus Discord is you don't have to be a member of Fam Plus to join. You could just hop on in and say hi. So,
and John,
I am work related stuff. If you email community@paizo.com, that goes right to my inbox. I check it every day. I've been responding to people since this whole thing kind of exploded, and just reassuring people or giving people direction or just engaging. Being the face, it's a lot of finger guns and attaboys. What I'm good at. But if you want to, on Twitter, I am at @JMorgantini. If you want to follow me personally, there's some occasional spicy takes or just griping about how I was up way too late playing Minish Cap on Switch last night. So a little bit of everything.
And I am your humble rule lord with the podcast Rise of the Rulelords, which you can find me on all things at Rulelord2e. Twitter is my home for as long as it remains a stable platform. But then, of course, there is the 2e subreddit where I love to post mostly sticky comments about very controversial things. But anyway, so I really encourage you, if you are a part of TPK, to join what I consider to be both the largest, and that is verifiable with numbers, but also the best, which is more subjective, community of Pathfinder 2e players with the R Pathfinder 2e subreddit. Our Discord is amazing. It's there on the sidebar, and we now even have a space for Spanish speakers if that's your native tongue, or just want to converse with more Spanish speaking people. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very happy third party con. We hope that you'll stay with us for the entire weekend. We have a great lineup of more streamers, a great lineup of demos for adventures and third party options. And even if you aren't gaming this weekend, I encourage you to seek out those demos, download them, and try them out at your own game at some point. We're going to try to make this a thing where the 2e community is always a big content creator safe space. So continue to make those Pathfinder products. So with that, I am going to sign off in my usual way of don't let the rules rule you, and say bye, everybody.
Toodaloo. Have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
TPK.